Hello. So I'm doing this mostly for the benefit of my mates, but and I'm going to be eating soup while I do this video. Please excuse me. But I'm just going to have a brainstorm about philosophy, art, and society. I think so. I just had an idea just then, just while I was making my soup, about the idea of the internet, or the technological network, I'm trying to call it that, which is what it is essentially, the internet. The collective consciousness as expressed in the modern age. Best expression of that in these modern times we live in is the internet. By which I mean the internet literally is a repository of every human being who has internet access anyway. Thoughts, ideals, ideas, feelings, emotions, perceptions, and all the rest of it. So the thought I was having just then was, could we not then, in some sense, use the internet as a almost on a constructive societal level, I guess. Obviously, going to have disagreements on the internet. That's pretty much goes without saying. Let's look at any flame war on YouTube, for example. But the idea, I think, was more to do with having certain functions be ran by machines or machine learning, I guess, as opposed to, or potentially, I guess what I mean is running internet. Sorry, not running internet. That makes no sense. Having the internet perform more of a function than just as opposed as a repository of knowledge, as an actual generator of knowledge, which it already is, I guess. But automating certain apparatus which the state fulfills currently via technology and the internet is the idea I'm developing, or I just instinctively had. So, for example, the society we live in now, I would say we have certain layers of society in that. It's not so much about class anymore as it is about layers of technocrats, bureaucrats, creative people who often, in terms of class consciousness, are often at the bottom because of the society that we live in, basically. So artists usually struggle. And the idea I've been generating around the artist engineer is to bridge that gap somehow, i.e. the technocratic class and the artist class, if you want to call it that. It's kind of the wrong terms for it, but I'm just obviously brainstorming. The artist and technocratic class become one, which is the idea of the artist engineer, which is artist as engineer, engineer as artist, which means, in a nutshell, technology is driven by artists and creatives drive the technology forward as well. New Renaissance ideas, basically, is what I'm talking about. I'm trying to kickstart a second Renaissance, or a third, however you want to put that in terms of society, history. But, yeah, what was I saying? I think the internet can be used in a much more productive manner. There's a lot of stuff going on at the minute about trying to put a lot more impose and more control on the internet with state snooping. There's the Snoopers charter that's been introduced, which gives the state and the government a lot more power to be able to know about everything you do on the internet. Basically, they can track everything, which is kind of breaching several rules of liberty of the human individual, privacy being the main one that is breaching. Now, obviously, I guess it could be very argued very passionately that the security agencies need access to certain data, obviously, but I think there's a more intelligent way to do it, and the way that the current government are doing it at the minute is just an iron fist down on everyone, assuming guilt before anyone's even done anything, which is ridiculous, I think. So yeah, I'm going to keep it short, try and keep it short. I'm obviously just brainstorming. I think the internet, as a collective consciousness, has to hit back at this bullshit. First off, that just means downloading Tor, so they can't track what you do. Because obviously, with this Snoopers charter, it does involve the governments will take advantage of it, and they will use it to profile people. Like, I'm quite left wing. Imagine if you've got quite a far right government in. I mean, I don't like the Tories, but they're not far right yet. But say if you've got a government that's much farther to the right, or just doesn't really approve of my socialist and quasi-anarchist leanings, you can get profiled. You can obviously have access to everything I've been on. And the thing is with the internet, I go on a very wide, diverse range of sources to find information. Say, for example, if I went on a fascist website, for example, just for any information, to find out information, to read about, what if I read Mein Kampf online? Does that make me a Nazi? This comes back to a fundamental question of information, which is just, by absorbing information and taking it on board does not therefore mean that you agree with that information. Look, I could go on a ISIS website, not for any reason, because it's the last thing on my mind I ever want to join. They're a fascistic organisation who are clothing themselves in the cloth of religion, even though being against basically all the fundamental principles of Islam itself. But if I went on their website to find out information about that said organisation, I could get them profiled, put in a database somewhere on wherever it is, and then it's a bad bill, basically. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, I think it's a terrible idea. Obviously, they were also bringing in a lot of kind of very draconian anti-porn laws at the minute. I understand everyone's got a different relationship to porn. Most people, if they're truthful, consume it at some point in their lives. Some obviously more than others. But I think as soon as it becomes an issue of a law saying you cannot have this X and Y fetish, I think it becomes very much an issue that everyone should care about who believes in liberty. I think that's the next thing I think they're trying to bring in now. I'm not even personally into BDSM, but they're trying to bring in a lot of laws around that at the minute. It's like, who defines what is this obscenity? And I think basically informed people on the internet who basically start fighting this shit by using their own technical knowledge, which is part one of the artist engineer. I think we're trying to bring that consciousness into reality, which is artist engineers are going to fix this world, whether the bureaucratic and the elite 1% care, which they don't, because all they're doing is basically scavenging the ruins of our depleting society, our depleting environmentally challenged world, and these vampires essentially are just making money off it, I guess. Greedy bastards, I guess. So yeah, sorry, this is a bit rambling. Stream of consciousness is just an initial reaction to very many current events. But yeah, way forward, I feel, is this idea of still developing. I've written most of it, the artist engineer idea. And I feel if society can get to the point where art and culture is held up as a high value to hold in society